Good morning, children. Today, let us solve a few sentences as a part of our revision on the topics of transformation of sentences, clauses, and I have some tenses here for you. Okay, so let us do the first topic, that is changing from one sentence to another. That is transformation of sentences, what we have just done a few days ago. You have three types of sentences: simple, compound, complex. Now here I have put the question as make it complex, or you can get the same question but it is asked in different ways. Rewrite as a compound sentence or transform into a simple sentence. So it is the same question but it can come in different ways, so please do not get confused. So the same question can come as rewrite as a complex sentence or transform the given sentence into a complex sentence. So now the different colors, various textures and patterns were used year after year, lending a simplicity to the art. You can see the first part of the sentence breaks here. The different colors, various textures and patterns were used year after year. Okay, so all this is used, lending a simplicity to the art. The question says we have to make it complex. That means we have to get a subordinating conjunction. So we will keep the main clause as it is. The different, you can see that one verb here has gone in the ing form. So if we introduce a subordinating conjunction here and change this verb into a finite verb, we can get a complex sentence. So the different colors, various textures and patterns were used year after year, which, so you will put a conjunction here, which lent a simplicity to the art. So when I put which lent, so you will only have to add the word which and lending will become lent. So it becomes a past form of the verb lend. Lend is a present form, lent becomes the past form, which lent a simplicity to the art. So by adding this conjunction here and getting a finite verb here, the sentence becomes complex. Next is, he turned a little pale because he had been saving that exact amount to buy a gun. So you have to first spot or identify the main verbs. So here you have, he turned a little pale. So turned becomes my main verb, so finite verb. Because you can see there is a subordinating conjunction here, because he had been saving that exact amount. Okay, so had been saving, this is the action, second action that he had been doing. Exact amount to buy a gun. Now to buy over here is a verb but it is with the word to, so it is a non-finite verb, an infinitive, so we cannot consider it as a finite verb. So you basically have two verbs, one here turned and the second one is had been saving. Now all we have to do is to make it compound. We can see that there are two verbs, there is a conjunction, so it is already a complex sentence, but we have to make it compound. So we have to remove this subordinating conjunction and put a coordinating conjunction instead. So if the same sentence I can write as, he turned a little pale because he had been saving that exact amount to buy a gun. If I say this as the first part, he had been saving that exact amount to buy a gun, so he turned a little pale. So we remove this conjunction. We begin the sentence with the second part. He had been saving that exact amount to buy a gun, so he turned a little pale. So when I put the conjunction so after this and then I write this first part of the sentence, it becomes a compound sentence because so by itself is a coordinating conjunction. Next sentence. She tore open the paper and drew out a card. Transform into a simple sentence. Now here we have to make it simple, meaning we have to have one verb. You can see there are two verbs. She tore open a paper, so one finite verb here. And it is a compound sentence, so conjunction is there and. Then drew out, so this is another verb. Now one verb will go in the ing form. Tearing open the paper, so this verb we will change it into tearing, or on tearing open the paper. So on tearing, if you're beginning with tearing, T goes as capital. If you're writing on, then T will be small letter. So on tearing open the paper or tearing open the paper, she drew out a card. Okay, because the first action goes in the ing form, it becomes a simple sentence. So this is how you change from simple compound and complex sentences. The next topic here, I have 3 sentences for you where you have to pick out the subordinate clause and state its kind. Now, for the unit test, we have done only noun clauses, but you'll have already learned adjective and adverb clauses in the first term. So you have to know to differentiate between all the 3 clauses, and you have to know to identify whether the given sentence has an adjective clause, adverb clause, or a noun clause. So here I have 3 different sentences for you. Let's see how to identify the subordinate clause, and you have to state its kind. If the question says give the function also, then you have to mention the function as well. But here we will only identify. Madame Loisel seemed sad and restless, though her dress was ready. Okay, now Madame Loisel seemed sad and restless. Your sentence breaks here. Though her dress was ready. You know that though is a conjunction. Okay, so she seemed sad and restless. Why? Even though, in spite of her dress being ready, she was sad and restless. So you know, when we have done adverb clauses, we have learnt when the conjunction though is there, it becomes adverb clause of concession or supposition. So we know that over here we have an adverb clause. Okay, so Madame Loisel seemed sad and restless will be your main clause. Though her dress was ready will be your subordinate adverb clause of concession or of supposition. You can write, both are the same. So that will be your identifying the clause and stating its kind. Next, you must tell your friend that you have broken the clasp of her necklace. Here, you must tell your friend, your sentence breaks here, that you have broken the clasp of a necklace. You can see a subordinating conjunction here. That means your subordinating clause will also begin from here. Now, you must tell your friend what? What you must tell your friend? That you have broken the clasp of a necklace. So when I answer a question what to the verb, it becomes a noun clause. So you must write, you must tell your friend, main clause, that you have broken the clasp of a necklace, subordinate, noun clause. Object of the verb, must tell. Third one, Loisel had 18,000 francs which his father had left for him. Loisel had 18,000 francs. Sentence breaks here. So this is your main clause. Which his father had left for him, which is a subordinating conjunction. Now, which his father had left for him is talking about the money, the francs. Okay, this part of the clause is talking about the 18,000 francs or the money that his father had left for him. So here in this case, we can take it as an adjective clause. The word which is referring to the money, the francs. Okay, so Loisel had 18,000 francs, main clause, which his father had left for him, subordinate, adjective clause. So you can see how we have identified all the 3 different types of clauses. So I have given you 3 different sentences with 3 different types of clauses. So when you get a mixture of sentences, you must know to identify whether the given sentence has an adjective clause, adverb clause, or an noun clause. Let us look at some sentences now on tenses. What are the possible questions you can get? One type of a question is where you are identifying the tense of the verb. Whenever we talk of a tense, we have to pick out the verbs. And a second type of a question that you can get on tenses is where you have to change from one tense to another. Into brackets, it will be mentioned into what tense they want you to change. They want you to change that sentence or that verb into. So you have to look at what is given in the brackets and accordingly make a change in the verb and rewrite the entire sentence. So now let us see the first topic, that is identify the tense. Here identify means you have to pick out the verb and say which tense it is. Let us look at the first sentence. They saw a ship which had laid anchor. You can see that this sentence has two verbs because there's a conjunction here. So they saw a ship. Saw is one verb. So this verb is in the simple past tense. So you will pick out that verb down, saw, and write simple past tense. Then you will look at the second part of the sentence, which had laid anchor. If you can see, had laid. So again below this you will write had laid. Okay, had laid dash. Now had laid will be, had indicates past and laid also indicates action completed in the past. So past perfect. So this will be the past perfect tense. So you're going to pick this verb, write it down here and write past perfect tense. So in this first sentence you can see there are two verbs, so you'll pick out both the verbs and write the type of tense. Next, the garden was producing healthy plants. Over here you can see garden is the subject, was producing becomes my finite verb. So you will pick out the whole verb here, was producing, and write was is in the past tense and producing ing form. Whenever you see ing form, it is a continuous tense, so this will be in the past continuous tense. So that's how you're going to identify the tense. So I've just given you two sentences here, examples. You can solve some more sentences, pick up from the textbook or from any other grammar book that you have, and try solving sentences which have examples of identifying the tense. Now let us come to changing the tense. He would borrow the rest. You have to change it into present perfect tense. Now present meaning the verb has to indicate present, and perfect means action should be completed. Which is the main action? Borrow. So borrow should be in the ed or the en form, perfect form. Now here it is would borrow, so it is in future tense. He would borrow the rest. Now how will you first change the tense? Present perfect would be had or has or has or have. Borrowed. Now we have to see whether has will be more correct or have will be more correct. Agreement of the verb with the subject. We have to look at the subject. He has borrowed the rest. So we cannot write have. So we have to write he has borrowed the rest. These are the two verbs which will come in the present form. But over here in this sentence, since the subject is he, if it had to be we, then it would be we have borrowed. I have borrowed. He or she then has borrowed. Okay, so it is agreement of the verb with the subject. So has is more correct here. Next sentence, they went from jeweler to jeweler looking for the necklace. Now here we have to first spot which is the main verb. They went. Went becomes my finite verb. From jeweler to jeweler looking for the necklace. Looking is in the ing form, but it is not having a helping verb here. So this is not a finite verb. It is a non-finite verb. Verb in the ing form. Now we have to change it into past perfect continuous. So we have to change the finite verb. This will remain as it is. We are not going to touch this verb at all. It will remain as it is because it is not a finite verb. Went is the finite verb. So we'll change it into past perfect continuous. Okay, continuous means ing form. Past and perfect means action completed in the past. So we have to have three words. 1, 2, 3. They went from jeweler to jeweler will become they had been going. Went is the past tense of the verb go. Go is the present form. Past form is went. So now here it is in the simple past form. But when we are writing the past perfect continuous, you cannot say wenting. It will become going. So they had been going. They had been going. Had. H-A-D had, because past perfect been and going indicates continuous tense. So had been going from jeweler to jeweler looking for the necklace. The remaining part is as it is. Third, she smiled with proud and innocent pleasure. Here we can see the verb is smiled, action done by the subject. She smiled with proud and innocent pleasure. Future continuous. Future would be the verbs will or shall. Okay, helping verbs will or shall. So she will be smiling. Since it is continuous, it will come in the ing form. Here we can see three words, but because future by itself has two words. Will smile is future, but will be smiling will become future continuous tense. This indicates future and this shows the continuous form. The main verb will go in the ing form, so future continuous tense. So you have to write the entire sentence. She will be smiling with proud and innocent pleasure. So whenever they are saying change the tense, you will change the tense, but you will rewrite the entire sentence with the tense changed. Okay, so these are the two possible questions you can get under tenses, where you have to identify and say what tense it is, and the second is where you have to change the tense from one to another, that is given in the brackets. Thank you.